This meeting is being recorded.
Well,
Oh, that was a scary lady's voice.
I wasn't used to that. All right, 3.
These are where they take over the world. The robots are coming.
Hey, welcome into another episode of Halos in the Infield, the podcast version with one of your hosts, Todd Fox, and the other,
Howdy, this is Fernando.
Fernando, and we have a special guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Travis Gangdon. I'm a Red Sox fan and a listener of the podcast.
Awesome. He's going to chime in.
You've also been on the show before.
I have. Yeah, if I look familiar.
Yeah, there's got to be some people who would be like, I know that guy. And then I think we have like one or two people who used to listen to Andrew and I's podcast, the SoCal Baseball Pod. And some people recognize Travis from that. He was our moderator when we did Dodger Stadium versus Angel Stadium versus Petco Park.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he was on that as well. So we have a little back and forth here today about the Sox and the Angels series that just took place. Yeah, usually a tough place for the Angels to play, but we're going to get into the review of that series, and then we're going to jump into the Nats series, the homestand, the upcoming homestand with Washington. We're going to talk about the Angels' chances and matchups versus them. But guys, any opening statements before we get started here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we don't have an opening banner.
I mean, yeah, right. Normally we have some kind of banter, but I think we've all had an eventful week.
Yeah. Personally, it's been pretty crazy.
You've been on baby watch?
Yeah, but I'm still on baby watch, dude. Day 3.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, still nothing.
It was today her due date?
No, her due date's actually the 12th. So I was wrong when I told you the other day, but
okay. Because you said like it was like 3 days away.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was 3 days away. But the thing is, she's getting most of the symptoms, but just the contractions are all over the place. But they got her on a monitoring thing right now, and she could be back in the hospital as soon as tomorrow or tonight. We'll just see.
Okay. What are we gonna call you when you get promoted to Grandfather Fox? Are you gonna be Papa Fox now? Because then what would Papa Fox be?
He'd be great Papa Fox.
Oh, great Papa Fox.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was gonna call him Pappy Fox.
There you go. I could be Pappy.
Happy Fox.
All right. So I'll have to change my avatar to the fox with some more gray hair. I'll have to do that.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. He's gotta have a gray beard too.
Yeah, exactly. So we came off we finished up the road trip here. We're gonna get into these 3 games of Boston. Chicago was 2-2, a little bit disappointing, especially the way it ended. So we turned the page and we were thinking, okay, let's go to Boston, a place of horrors for the Angels over the last few years. And game one was who was pitching in that one? I want to pull that one up.
Syndergaard was pitching for the Angels, and then is his first name Michael Waka?
Waka, yeah.
Yeah, Waka.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Yeah, Fozzie Bear.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that signing. That was a good signing.
Yeah, it was a good signing.
I was skeptical at first, but he's got it. He's been looking great for us.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. This is definitely a career resurgence for him, right? Because Red Sox fans were not expecting him to be nearly as impactful as he has been for you guys.
Not at all. No. At least I didn't. I thought he'd be a 5th starter at best, maybe a long relief guy.
Mm-hmm.
When we signed him, I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm like, I thought we needed good starting pitching, but he's proven me wrong.
Yeah. Well,
he's only 30 years old, so in theory, he is barely entering the prime of his career.
He's only 30,
and I mean, he just turned 30. Yeah, so he was a Cardinal from 2013 to 2019, a Met in 2020. In 2021, he was a Ray, where he went 3-5 with a 5.05 ERA, and then before that, had a 6.62 ERA with the Mets. So he's definitely been on a career downward spiral. Until this year, where seemingly he's figured something out. Do you think you know what that is, Travis?
He likes the changeup. Every game I've seen of him, he's been featuring that changeup. That's his bread and butter, So when you go to that and you're locating it better, he's been more effective because he never had really high velocity. So he's got to go with that. And he's been featuring the changeup a lot, and I've seen that it's been very effective, and he's getting lots of swings and misses on it.
Hopefully this is a restart to his career because he was brilliant with St. Louis. my take
Yeah,
or
okay.
one of my questions though for you, Travis, being the Red Sox guy, like how, being a Red Sox fan all your life, I mean, uh, what is the difference with this season? And because to me, it seems like the Red Sox had like an Angels usual off season where they really didn't go for the big names, the big stars like they normally would, and just sort of went bargain basement. Is there any rhyme or reason behind the way that they're trying to construct this team?
I think that what Chaim Bloom is trying to do is that he's treating it like the Rays, where the Red Sox of old with the Dave Dombrowski era, they would
Hmm.
buy talent, buy, and it worked for a while, but then you depleted your farm system with the trades, and so you get a ring, yeah, and it was great, but then after that, the teams start stinking. It felt like we had a great team, a bad team, a great team, a bad team. So he's trying to keep it with guys in our system, kind of like with the Jackie Bradley Jr. trade. I thought that was unusual, as much as we love him, but we got some good prospects out of him,
Hmm.
So he's treating it like a small market team, which is interesting. And I never even agreed with the philosophy, but he's proven me wrong a lot. Like last year, it was the same case. They didn't have a lot of like key guys that they signed. We had Kike, that was
Hmm.
about it. And then we made it to the postseason with one of the worst defenses. And
Sure.
I was like, okay, it doesn't work. So what he did was naturally, it's like, okay, our defense is our worst point. So we'll trade away for a guy who's a great defender in Jackie Bradley Jr., and it ended up working out great. Our defense is great. And our offense, which was great last season, has been lacking now. So everything that we've been doing successfully last year, we're doing poorly now, and vice versa.
I see.
So let me ask you this. So Theo Epstein got you guys one of your most recent rings, and then Ben Sherrington got you another ring, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Because Theo Epstein was 06 to 2011. Sherrington was from 12 to 2015. Because you guys won a ring in 13 and 2009?
No, that was the Yankees in 9.
Okay.
The Red Sox got one in 07, 04, 13, and then most recently in 18. And that was under Dombrowski.
Perfect. Yeah.
Which is crazy
Okay.
because you would have never, me growing up watching baseball would have never thought the Red Sox would have one, let alone 4 in my day. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. For the longest time, that was an
So-
asinine claim.
Exactly.
So between the philosophies that you've had of your general managers over the last, decade, who was best for the Red Sox, do you think? Because, the Angels have been playing musical chairs between, DePoto, Epler.
I would say, even though it's led to some risks, I'd say Dave Dombrowski was probably one of the best ones because we're a big market team.
Mhm.
Got the third largest market, and they need to spend like it, I mean, we have the ability to sign high-priced talent, but I understand that there are risks that come with that. You're assuming that a guy is going to perform at a certain level for a long period of time, and it's just not how baseball works sometimes. Great players fall off the table, and guys who weren't considered great emerge or reemerge in Walker's case, So I would say, practically speaking, Chaim Bloom is probably what's best. But for the Red Sox, I would say that Dave Dombrowski was actually a fitting GM, even though he made some controversial signings, like the Rusney Castillo signing him for so much money when he's been a quadruple A player.
Yeah, that's the thing with high risk, high reward, I guess, or whatever you can call it. I love Dave Dombrowski's overall resume. So when Perry was, before he got the job here, Dombrowski was actually one of the main candidates. And I was looking back at his resume. I'm like, okay, he is what he is. He's not a long-term dude. Like he usually lays over in an area for about 5 years, but his track record of winning titles or getting to the World Series is up there because he did it with the Marlins, he did it with Detroit, and then he did it with Boston. So I was thinking, man, all the way Dave Dombrowski, but I don't even know where he went. Actually,
he's with the Phillies, I believe now.
Oh, Phillies. Okay, makes sense.
Which explains like the Bryce Harper signing.
True.
Although I do believe.
But I mean, let's be realistic here, real quick, Todd. Sorry. Though I understand a championship is the goal, are you really willing to win one championship to be, in theory, mediocre for the next half decade like we have been? I mean, over the last 8 years, believe it or not, we have been building towards something. Honestly, I've said it before, and I think a lot of Angels fans are going to agree with me now. I think we cut Billy Epler a year or two too early. Because we're now starting to get to the days where Billy Epler's drafts and signings and trades are finally starting to pay off, right? We're finally getting to those days. It took a while, but Patrick Sandoval, Max Stassi, these guys are starting to step up now. Jose Suarez, these guys are starting to step up now. Do you really think it's worth it?
In my opinion, because of the 20 years in between titles, I would gladly trade that for another title. But then again, that's my greedy side. But my thinking what you just said and thinking long term and having an opportunity to go to maybe a couple of them or win a couple of them and be good for a long period of time, the route that Epler and Manassian's done now, I'm with that. It's just like it's hard to be a patient fan when it's been 20 years between titles. And then like what Travis had to go through prior, being a Sox fan, I mean, their drought was even more horrendous, but it's just,
I mean, not for Travis, but for his
That was a
dad.
baby.
Maybe.
Yeah.
oh yeah. But I mean,
My
his
grandfather
family.
would scream, turn off the TV, and run out of the room. He never got to witness a title.
Oh, it sucks. That sucks.
He lived 80 years, and he passed away 6 months before they won in 2007.
Oh,
He witnessed one, I
man.
believe.
That's so brutal.
Hey, I mean, at least he witnessed one.
Yeah, he witnessed in 2004.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, well, that's like my
76
grandpa.
years.
He passed just prior to the Padres run to the World Series. He wanted them to win a World Series, although they didn't win. But I think he would have been super stoked.
Yeah, just to make it that far.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
98, I believe.
Yeah, 98. That was his team. He loved that team.
98, and was it 84 or 86
I think it was 84.
against
he
the
saw.
Tigers?
84. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this has been a different Sox team that and then your division before we get into the series, that division is going to be brutal all year. I mean, Baltimore is going to be on the team on the rise. They're essentially a really good AAA team with a couple major leaguers on them, and they're going to be pesky. But that's the least of your worries. I mean, you got Toronto, you got the Yankees, and you got Tampa. I mean, that's brutal, man.
Oh yeah, no people.
I got a hot take real quick. I think the Orioles in like 2 or 3 years are going to be a decent team. I mean, their pitching framework is there.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a
And
great
I
farm.
understand that's probably not too big of a hot take. They have Adley Rutschman, they have Connor Norby, they have tons of guys.
John
Who
Means
knows if Trey Mancini will still be there or if he'll even be productive at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think the Orioles are starting to get the framework of a solid team again.
Yeah, they've actually looked pretty decent too. I mean, they beat us in the series in 3 games. They've actually put together some great offensive games as well, and offense was their weak point. They've actually had decent rotations throughout this time, but they just didn't have a lot of offense for a while.
Matt Harvey.
Yeah. I think
The exception.
I think that the only downfall they have is they're a team that can't afford making errors. They make an error and they'll lose the game easy. They've got to fight.
They can't afford anything, clearly.
Yeah, they got to fight, kick, scratch and claw to get runs. But when they do, they're formidable. They beat us 2 at home here, 2 out of 3. They're a pesky little team. But yeah, I'd like to see them good because I mean something about Camden Yards. It's one of my bucket list stadiums to go to. It looks beautiful. All those teams in the
Great
East.
ball.
Yeah, all those teams in the East have nice looking ballparks. So, yeah, I mean it's except what.
Toronto?
Even Toronto's not a bad spot. I think Tampa Bay is the worst one in the East, but
Yeah.
That's true. I've been there.
yeah. But let's start with this series, Game 1. Again, the Angels coming off a shutout loss in Chicago the night before, and we're going into a Boston area where the ERA has. Well, Travis, the pitching. What do you think, real quick, before we get in this game? Has it been decent to you, or better than last year, or is it regressed?
It's the exact opposite of last year. Our starters were iffy because we had Evaldi and a unhealthy Chris Sale for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So our starters weren't doing great, but our bullpen was actually solid despite the reputation it had. You look at the numbers, they actually were one of the best ones in the American League.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's been the opposite way around. We've gotten good starting pitching, especially out of guys who you ordinarily wouldn't expect it out of, like Michael Wacha. We've gotten some really great numbers out of Tanner Houck, and our bullpen has had too high of an ERA. So if you look at us and our ERA numbers, we're right there in the middle of the league, totally mediocre.
Wow.
So it's just not going to fly. You got to
Absolutely.
get it all going together because we've actually added bullpen pieces in the offseason. Well, during the trade deadline last year, which was like Hansel, Robles, and Austin Davis, which both guys had an ERA over 5 at the time. So I was not happy about that. I'm like, why? We already had a good bullpen, So, I think it's just early in the season and they might come into their own. So I'm not going to like jump ship, but it's been a total change from last season. And it shows too, because we've had starters keep shutout ball for 5-6 innings and the bullpen comes in and then the lead's gone.
Yeah, sort of what happened today. But like the other thing I was going to note was the fans. I'm not used to watching a Red Sox game with whoever they're playing, especially the Angels, and there'd be empty seats. I don't know if you noticed it, but in the series it was not packed. It's not the I don't know if they're just not buying in yet, or if it's early in the season, because the weather looked fine to me in Boston. You know what I mean? It wasn't like freezing or nothing, but there was a lot of empty stands throughout this series.
Oh yeah.
It was 50 degrees and there was 29,793 attending fans on Monday.
Yeah.
That's not crazy.
Well, tickets sold on Monday, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, it might just be, you could chalk that up to a midweek game, especially today. It's a middle of a day on, what is it? Today's Thursday,
Yeah.
First pitch was 7:12 on, sorry, I said Monday. So that must have been Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm just used to the whole Ortiz type Red Sox teams that had just, you couldn't get a ticket to those games. You know what I mean? It was too pricey because,
My only time at Fenway was in 2008, the year after they had won the World Series, and it was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
And that 2018 wasn't even that good, to be honest. But nowadays, I think it's just more fair weather fans. No one wants to see a first place Angels team slaughter a team that's now tied with the Orioles.
Wow.
So
that puts it into perspective.
Cool.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're only 26, 27 games in the season. So
that's exactly why I'm saying we always start out slow every April. I bet if you look at the April record for the last decade, it's probably a losing record,
But there's one difference between that and the Angels is usually Boston will turn it around in time not to get themselves missing the playoffs. The Angels had been the opposite. They wait a little too long to turn it around, and then they're just not going to win in September. But
I think the Angels started out pretty hot last year too.
So actually, the Angels were exactly 500. You said they were a game below, Tom, but they were exactly 500.
Yeah, you're right.
Last year,
they started out. I want to say 10 or 7-3 or something like 10-4.
Yeah, they're real hot.
They're real hot, and then they fell off and they finished 500, and then May was just an abomination. And it just kept going from there.
That's the exact opposite of what the Red Sox have been doing. Start out slow and then slowly work your way up. I mean, remember last season we started out getting swept by the Orioles at home.
Yeah, that's true.
It was pretty atrocious.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
At least this time we got beat by a good Yankees team at Yankee Stadium, 2-1. So it wasn't as bad, but it's as a Red Sox fan, it's obviously very frustrating.
Oh yeah. That's your big rival.
Yeah.
It's the game that plays 90% of the year for somehow.
It feels like a playoff
on
game.
ESPN, Yankees, Red Sox again.
And there's always some absolutely crazy plays or some controversy laced with it, and it always makes it more interesting to watch and more tense if you're a fan of either of those teams.
Absolutely.
There's never a dull moment in a Red Sox Yankees game, and it always feels like it lasts 15 hours.
Oh yeah. They made those pitching
because a couple
rules.
years ago they played in England, right?
Yep. The London series. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made those pitching rules especially for the Yankees Red Sox games because those were always 30 to 40 minutes longer than every other game.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's normal.
So the Angels lost on Tuesday 4-0, getting shut out by the Red Sox behind Michael Wacha, Diekman, Brazier, and I can't even say that guy's name. Sawamura.
Yeah.
Sawamura. Okay. Yeah. See, I can't.
Yeah.
So Angels lost 4-0. That was their 3rd out of 4 games getting shut out.
Correct.
If memory serves correctly.
Correct.
Yeah. Because they got shut out in half of the White Sox games. They got shut out on Saturday's game and Monday's game. And then, like I said, went on to Boston for first game to get shut out again. Todd, what was your mindset getting shut out for 3 out of 4 nights?
It's been difficult because our thing as Angels fans is these, and I've picked it out many times, is the hitting instructors. The way Joe Madden conducts BP before the games, sometimes it's just batting cages below the stadium. He doesn't have them out there taking real life at bats, and when he does, he nails Austin Warren in the face with a fly ball. But
I think the Red Sox player did that actually.
Oh, it was a Red Sox player. Okay, I was thinking we hit our own guy.
Yeah, because what happened during live BP, and from my understanding, it was a batted ball that got Austin Ward in the nose.
Oh, okay. Well, despite that, I'm just upset with the way I don't know how much Travis watches the Angels games, but we've noticed on many occasions Matt Wise, our pitching instructors, right there during the games, showing the tablets to the pitchers, trying to get them saying, oh, you're showing you're tipping your pitches, or try doing this, like he's constantly on them, whether they're in the game or not, which is a sign of a good pitching coach. Our hitting instructors sit on their asses the entire game. And it wasn't until the last 2 games of the Boston series where they actually hit, where it seemed like every ball player for the first time this season I've seen in the dugout had a freaking tablet. And they were talking with one another. Rendon was telling Mayfield about his at bat and vice versa, and we didn't see that in the Chicago series at all. So when they came back in the first game and got shut out again, it was a lackluster approach at the plate by all the baseball players. There was the same game plan. They didn't change up as the game was going along to try to play some small ball to scratch across the run. I mean, we got a leadoff guy on, I think once or twice, didn't bunt him over with guys who clearly can't hit the ball that hard. It was just like, what are we doing out here? And then that's why I was frustrated those first 2 games. Back-to-back shutouts is terrible. They went 22 innings without scoring.
Tell me about Peter Fotzey. Does he do a pretty good job with your hitters, Travis?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, nah. Last season, I mean, it hasn't been looking like we've got a great offense. Like, I don't know what his strategy is, but it's not working because our runs scored, you look at us, we're pretty average, Last season, we were top 3 in most offensive categories. We're right up there with the Blue Jays and Astros.
Yeah.
So whatever that was doing was working, So I think he's new to the job. He's going to figure it out. He was hired for a reason, It's too early to freak out. And I think it's just a collective slump that their offense is going through because they've had their moments. Like there was a game against the Blue Jays. They ended up going 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
The bats started going. They say hitting is contagious and someone needs to spread the virus, So we just need to figure something out in that regard. You need someone to spark something.
Thanks. Now we're going to get demonetized by YouTube for you saying spread the virus.
That's what I was trying to do.
There you go. That's fine. We weren't making any money anyway.
We're in the minus now. But Bradley, it was surprising. Bradley was off to a bad start, but he had a good series. I liked JD Martinez's approach at the plate. He was good in the series. I was just shocked to see some of these dudes' averages, that were so bad. I'm not used to the Red Sox hitters having those kind of low averages. And, who was the guy that came over from the Dodgers? He's on your team. He's an outfielder. Verdugo. Yeah, I'm shocked though at his start to the season. And I'm hoping for your guys' sake it is just an early season slump, and like you said, that can get contagious. But it was really weird. This is the first year in a very long time me watching baseball. The Red Sox have an offense this anemic this early.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, to be honest. It's just a lack of execution. A lack of situational hits too. I would even say some bad luck factors in because what I've seen is that they're not striking out that much. They're not giving away at bats, but they're making a lot of solid contact. It's just at guys.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that, but at the end of the day, there's been opportunities to score with men on base, and they've been lackluster at that time, and that's really what it is.
And one more question I have for you, Travis. Daubach, thoughts on him? Is he going to be that guy to take over a starting role like permanently, or is he just like one of those bench dudes?
He's got to prove himself still. I mean, he's young, and he's like a newfangled all or nothing hitter. When he hits it far. When he doesn't, he's sitting right back on the bench.
Gotcha.
So it's his defense has greatly improved from what I've seen from when he started, but his offense has been pretty inconsistent. And again, you could chalk that up to being new, but he needs to produce too because he's a big source of power, and I think that he needs to prove himself still.
I agree.
So I know you were blacked out of Tuesday's game because, you live in Orange County. So obviously you can't watch the Sox. because they were playing the Angels.
Yeah.
But from what you heard about Noah Syndergaard, from an outside perspective, is Noah Syndergaard back?
It's hard to say. I mean, with Noah Syndergaard, a lot of his success was based off of his velocity, and since Tommy John has dropped a lot. He's always had a great curveball and elite stuff too. But from what I've heard about in the first game of the series, the Red Sox were hitting him around pretty well. Granted, it's a pretty friendly, hitter-friendly park, and Fenway Park is not usually pitchers' favorites. But
you guys have
I
a
would
lot of
say-
little league stadiums in the East.
yes, we do. Lots of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, why not give him a chance though? The Angels signed him for what, just a couple years just to see.
A 1-year deal.
Yeah.
There you go. That's probably a smart move for a guy who came off
1-year
surgery.
deal, and he's so far 2-1 this season with a 2.63 ERA.
Great.
Yeah, his strikeouts are down, but he's getting an awful lot of ground ball outs, which is good because I rather have that than fly ball outs. His control's good, so I'll give him that.
That's what he's gonna have to work on too, especially if he's no longer the flamethrower that used to be coming off the surgery.
Yep,
He might have to change his philosophy a little bit.
I think he has. I honestly do. He does not look like the same pitcher out there with that same kind of like go getter mentality. I'm gonna strike you out, Max Scherzer type dude. He's just trying to get you to make the right kind of contact.
There you go.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, he's not back. He's different.
There you go. And different isn't always that bad, So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
He's a new man.
Yeah, definitely not. So game 2 was a little different for the Angels.
Mhm.
So game 2 was the Angels were down by 1 run, correct? Came back to tie it because Hansel Robles gave up, I think it was only 1 run, right? He gave up 1 run. Yep. And then in came Diekman, and Diekman blew the save.
Yep.
And then Barnes gave up 3 runs after that.
Matt Barnes in midseason form.
Yeah, what's your opinion on Matt Barnes? I mean, obviously you kind of gave it away there, but you know he's been pretty inconsistent. And then also, what's your opinion on Hansel Robles?
Inconsistent is the key word there, because I know he made an All-Star game last year, but I've talked to Kyle, our resident statistician. He says he has elite stuff, and I'm like, does he though? Because the numbers don't reflect that. Everything I've seen, every time I see him, he either throws a curveball in the dirt or a fastball right down the middle. I mean, you just got to sit on the curveball and hit the fastball at that point, which causes him to be inconsistent. I mean, I've not been impressed. When they said he was our closer last year, I'm like, that's risky. He ended up doing really well as a closer, but I think that 1 year was just kind of a fluke. You say you give him a defined role, maybe that helps, but I just think that he and Hansel Robles has been kind of inconsistent, and that's the worst thing that a reliever can be. You got to be reliable.
I think you said a key phrase there, or you said that with Matt Barnes, it's either a slider in the dirt or a fastball. And Todd, if you can tap into your memory on Hansel Robles was the same thing. He had a nasty slider where he would just kind of bury it in the dirt, or he would get you with like a quick pitch to throw you off and then throw like 100 miles an hour. But that was all he had. Threw a lot of balls, walked a lot of guys, almost like a Jonathan Papelbon mentality. He'd get bases loaded, and then he would somehow finagle his way out of it. Jonathan Papelbon made a career out of that.
Yep.
And it seems like Hansel Robles almost does the same thing. Loads up the bases, or at least develops a pressure situation, kind of finaggles his way out of it. But it also gets him in trouble because he has entire seasons where he's inconsistent. And then he has years like, I believe, 2020, where he's great.
Yeah, I mean, go figure. That was a kind of performance he did the other day, which would, getting the bases loaded in that extra inning and stuff like, or in the 9th inning. That game was weird. I mean, they were down 2-0, tied it, lost the lead 4-2, tied it again late, with a big clutch hit. And there was also on our side, we've been frustrated with Madden's lineups and stuff like that. And it just made sense that the guy who got the winning hit for us, which was Taylor Ward, was benched, and he had been hot.
Yeah, right.
And so they bring him in to pinch
Ben's
hit.
your hottest hitter.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen the highlights. I mean, he's been unreal. He's been putting up Mike Trout numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a guy, again, like it just doesn't matter. Like, okay, so see, going into today, Brendan Marsh was playing and he had been slumping bad, and you're not resting a guy like that. He'll throw out a dude like that, but a guy's coming off a 3 for 5, he'll be like, nah, sit down, take a day off,
Yeah.
cool off.
Ride it on hand.
Yeah, yeah. So, but
I'm going to bat Brent. Not only are you going to start Brandon Marsh, but he batted him leadoff to try to get him out of his funk. I don't know what the hell you've been smoking, Joe, but sometimes it is okay to say no. We have never say no Joe over here. Thinks he knows his way around everything. The guy probably can't even swing his way out of a sack.
It's got to, play rah-rah a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we have some options if we want. Like for me too, Velasquez has been getting a lot of playing time and defensively, as he should. But his bat has been nowhere close to where it should be. He's swinging like he's a power hitter, and he's not. No one's helped him out. Marsh wasn't doing anything, so it's like for me, I would have started Rojas at second, moved Fletcher over to short. But they didn't do that. They weren't trying to play Rojas, and Velasquez. Yes, did make a couple good plays today. But, offensively, it's just an easy out. He's not even bunting. With a guy like that, you'd be like, okay, try to bunt, get on base, or move a guy over. Nah, let's just swing away or go for the fences. Doesn't make sense.
So that game was won by the Angels 10-5, and the matchup was Garrett Whitlock, who the Red Sox have been test driving as a starter, right? He isn't normally a starter?
No, he was like a long relief option that we picked up from the Rule 5 draft for the Yankees, actually.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I've heard that. Yep.
He was one of my
and then
favorite
the Angels
picks.
sent up Reed Detmers. I'm sorry?
He was one of my favorite picks for that season. He's been absolutely shut down.
Yeah, 1.25 ERA. He pitched 5 innings in yesterday's game.
I know I'm biased,
only
but
gave
I
up
thought he was
2
a
earned
legitimate Rookie
runs.
of the Year candidate last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he had a good performance. I mean, 9 strikeouts, nothing to be ashamed of there.
Absolutely.
And then Reed Detmers, 4.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So his walk numbers were still pretty low. I mean, I'll take 2 walks. I would have liked him to walk 2 batters in more than 4 2/3. But, for a guy who's still young and is still trying to figure it out at the major league level, I'll take that out of Reed Detmers. I would have liked Joe to give him a little bit more of a longer leash. He went to his boy toy Ortega.
Yep.
He then brought in the super looper who actually gave up a run for once. His ERA is now at a staggering 1.54. I say sarcastically, but for Loop,
DFA.
that is high.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Grill Master. And then we got Tepera, who picked up the win. He is now 1-0. He has an ERA of 1.50. And then Jimmy Herget finally got the last inning pitch there. And he was able to bring his ERA down to 5.11. Now, one thing I will say, and I'm sure Travis will agree here from an outsider's perspective, it's really weird to say Angels bullpen numbers almost 1 month into the season. Actually, by the time this is released tomorrow, that will be 1 month from the start of the season. To hear that Angels bullpen arms have ERAs lower than their weights.
Yeah. It's a good sign. Always.
Exactly. I mean, if a guy's ERA is, 4, you're like, oh, well, hey, Angels being the Angels. But the fact that, we have some notable names there, Aaron Loop, Tepera, these are great bullpen arms in any staff. It's been a long time since the Angels have had a bullpen name like that. And then, they have a guy named Raisel Iglesias also. But I've been really happy with what we've been saying for the bullpen. That was another example right there. I mean, our guys stepped up when they had to. They won a game in extra innings.
And the thing about that is last year, 2 things happened. You look at the bullpen, and like you guys said, this ERA is fantastic for a team that, again, this is why we're 17-10. It's a big reason why is the pitching is much better than last year. And a game that last year, I forget our record the year before with a whole runner on second base to start extra innings. We're like way below 500. We always don't score that run, and the other team comes back and beats us. And the way that inning started, I'm like, crap. The first 2 outs, we still got a runner at second, and then they explode for 6-2. Was it 6? Yeah, 6 2-out runs. Which we wouldn't have done that last year. So that was a big difference. And, Jared Walsh coming through with a tying hit and then the big 3-run homer to cap it off. We would have lost games like that last year. So that's encouraging from our side.
And that's something that you and I said in our private conversation. I mean, Todd and I talk all the time. I'm sure that's not a surprise to people. But I had told Todd, and Todd agreed completely. Like, yeah, this is a game that we 100% lose, and I'm pretty sure he even said that.
Yep.
I think you did a post game that day.
Mhm.
No, you didn't. You did not do a post game.
I wasn't. No, I didn't do a post game that night. No.
Yeah, so we had probably just said it in our group chat. But yeah, that's a game that the Angels for sure lose
Mm-hmm.
last year.
And that's a big.
What's it like, Travis, like facing an Angels team who actually has a decent bullpen? I'm sure in the past it was kind of like, we're still in this, who are they going to bring in? Hansel, Robles? Oh,
Yeah, I know. Needless to say, I was actually pretty confident going into this series, but they surprised me. So it was harder to get that key hit. Especially for an offense that's really struggling. The Angels preyed on that. They did a really good job of shutting the guys down when they needed to. Especially today when it was just a complete shutout.
Yeah.
For an offense that on paper is really good, that's an absolutely amazing feat.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing about this game, I'm with Fernando on this. Again, Madden with the quick hooks too much on these young kids, and I think this was one of his best starts of the year. And he only went 4 1/3, so that must have been discouraging because when they went to the camera of him on the bullpen, he or not the bullpen, the dugout, he looked pretty pissed off. He was shaking his head like, "Why'd he take me out?" His curveball was the best I've seen it all year. I mean, that curveball was dancing all over the strike zone, but in the
he's got
strike
a
zone.
nasty curve, a wicked curve.
Yeah. It was actually throwing off the Red Sox hitters, so I was impressed by that.
Mm.
Travis, could you say wicked curve?
Wicked calf.
Yeah, he's from New Hampshire, so he can pull off the New England.
Yes, he can.
Grew up with it.
But yeah, man, definitely a good sign. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff that was weird that day. I mean, Kurt Suzuki played first base.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him in the Angels Hall of Fame, right? Let alone the fact that he did like the splits on one of those plays. He actually had a pretty good scoop there. It was crazy. And also, there's a guy on Angels Twitter. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. His name is Halo Weezy. Check him out. He's the dude. He started something called Wheezy Wednesdays, which sounds like something you would get high with Lil Wayne, but whatever. I like it. Wheezy Wednesdays just sounds dope. But what he said was, who do you think is going to be the Angels player of the month? On the Halos of the Infield account, I said Max Stassi. And Max Stassi made me look smart that day because he hit the home run that broke the Angels scoreless streak.
Yes. And he damn near almost hit another one later in the game, too. He just got under it. So his swing's there. That's for sure.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's starting to heat up a little bit. So hopefully, because the Angels need him to heat.
Yes. So that'll take us to today's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So today's game was an all-out schlobberknocker.
Mm-hmm.
One where we would be told, stop, that man has a family. So the modern day Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani, who is 3-2 after today's game, pitched 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, but no earned runs, struck out 11. Currently has an ERA of 3.08. And Rich Hill pitched 5 innings, gave up no runs. But Tanner Houck, did I say that correctly?
My boy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gave up 7 earned runs today.
Mm.
He started good when he first came out there. I think he struck out the side right when he first relieved Rich Hill.
Yep.
So it wasn't until the 7th inning when the Angels started to get on that run with the 2-run homer by Walsh down Pesky's pole. And then it lit up after that in the 8th inning. He scored 5 and then plated one more in the 9th. This game was really weird because double-digit strikeouts back-to-back for Ohtani. So he's really pitching good the last 4 starts now. But Rich Hill like is one of those guys you always want to count out because of his age and how long he's been around. But your thoughts on Rich Hill with Boston, because he gave him exactly what they wanted, again, like from one of those starters.
Well, he's been another underrated signing. It's exactly like the Michael Wacha signing where I saw where he signed Rich Hill. I'm like, okay, maybe, I didn't have high expectations, but he was like a low risk, high reward signing. And that's what Chaim Bloom's been doing. And he's been absolutely delivering. He's been exhibiting elite stuff lately. You know, he hasn't been leading on the curveball too much, but he's been pitching it effectively and knowing exactly when to throw it.
Does he have does he have a pitch count or an inning count? Sorry.
I'm not sure what they have him on. You know, I wasn't able to watch the games because of the blackouts, but I think that they've actually been giving him a decently long leash.
Okay.
You know,
because the way he was pitching
he's
today,
42 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look, with a lefty, you kind of throw the age out the window. Some of these lefties can go like mid-40s. So I mean, I just think he's got really solid stuff, and he's hard to hit for whatever reason, and he uses the slow curveball and fastballs to his advantage, the rate speed or spin rate or whatever. And he had the Angels off balance. I was really surprised they took him out after 5.
Yeah. And that's what Alex Cora does, is he takes them out too early. And if they're inefficient, he leaves them in too long, like we did with Tanner Houck. All of last season, the general consensus with Tanner Houck was he was exhibiting elite stuff, and he got pulled too early. He always pitched like 3 1/3 innings when he was doing great, you know? So I think he just tries to do things to show faith in the pitchers, which I understand that because he's definitely a player manager. Absolutely. But at the same time, like you say, you got to ride the hot hand, you know? It's the equivalent of benching Taylor Ward. Yeah.
And another thing I want to point out real quick, Fernando, man, Brandon Marsh on this road trip, they had just put up the stat. He was 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts. Oof. That is absolutely brutal. He kept getting run out there, and he was like, I think he had 2 more strikeouts today before he dropped a bloop single, and then in the 9th inning he had a 2-run homer. So, I mean...
But hanging out with his boy Adele.
I guess, because, we've never complained about his defense, but boy, was that a bad... I mean, he was whiffing like crazy this entire road trip.
Yeah, he overall looked overmatched this entire road trip. Hopefully he was able to end it on enough of a positive note that he'll be able to translate against the Nationals, have a productive series, and, hopefully move on for the rest of the year. I mean, Brandon Marsh is definitely a guy where if he's doing well, the Angels are doing well. You know what I mean? Because he's a young guy. The Angels are finally in a situation where they have these young guys coming up and producing. The Travis saw with the Red Sox, you need to have these young guys built in the system to believe in the process and execute the process. Because when that happens, you build championship teams. These aren't the old days, guys. I've said it all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it. You can't buy yourself a ring anymore. Dave Dombrowski was probably the last successful GM to buy himself a ring. And even that, it's not working right now in Philly. This is a different ball game, guys.
Yep.
You need to build from within. You can buy some pieces, but you need to build from within. And you know what? We're finally starting to see a little bit of success for the Angels. We're only a month in. Yes, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm just saying this first month, we've seen these young guys come up and pan out. Taylor Ward is starting to pan out. Patrick Sandoval is pitching like a beast. These guys believe in the process. So, yeah, that's what I got to say there.
Yeah, Austin Warren, a few other guys have come through the,
he gets hit in the face.
Before he got hit in the face, he was pitching good too.
I like him.
Yeah. A lot of these guys we're seeing a team that's being built from within. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's going to get fan pride. Because it's one thing to buy players from other teams and be like, oh yeah, we got him from Cincinnati or Toronto, but it's another thing to bring these guys through your organization. Maybe you're a fan that goes, see Inland Empire games or. Can see them play with Trash Pandas or Salt Lake, and then to see them come through it makes a big difference. So I'm hyped about this team too. This is the best we've seen since 2014, and which is saying a lot.
And here's one more thing I'll say. I mean, we're in a different age, right? People who are younger baseball fans, no offense, Todd, you're maybe on the tail end of the younger baseball fans, but like people Travis and I's age, we're now in the age where. Yeah, well, hey, I love you, buddy.
All right.
I love you, buddy, but you're about to be a grandpa. But what I'm saying here is, younger people, and you see it on Angels Twitter, are starting to now like control social media, right? We're at the age now where like Todd's kids are starting to, get to the point where it's their turn to run the world, right? Our generation, Travis and I is now going to start running the world. You kind of see it now with social media, and you can tell because certain companies are now starting to cater to people our age, right, Travis? Think about the Coinbase ad for the Super Bowl, the QR code that was floating. That was catered to people our age. So because of that, it's going to start becoming pivotal for these teams to start catering to people our age, because at the end of the day, we are the future of the game until, my kids or, if Travis ever has kids, his kids start to get into baseball, then they'll start catering to that audience. But what I'm saying here is right now, it's all about meme players, right? Who's the memed player that month for the Angels? As of right now, it's Jose Rojas, like the hometown kid. Let's meme him up. It's David Fletcher with those slap shots. It's Shohei Ohtani with a photo of his face as a goat. It's things like that. It's players like that the Twitter just embraces and loves. That's what the Angels need to do better of. Developing those kind of players. People love guys like Jose Rojas or Griffin Canning or David Fletcher because they're hometown kids playing for teams they liked as a kid. That's what social media loves.
And that's a dream of every little leaguer or player that wants to be in the big leagues.
Absolutely. Play for your hometown team. Except me. I never wanted to play for the Padres. Yeah. If I ever made it, I never wanted to. I mean, I was an Angels fan, but I never wanted to play for the Padres.
Well, speaking of Boston, and this series and playing, and not the Padres, by the way, but Boston, and them getting the 2 out of 3. The way the series started, they started with getting shut out and then shutting out Boston. Takeaways from this series, Travis, moving forward for your Red Sox. We're obviously now officially a month in, like Fernando said. Do you think there's a good chance this team can get on a win streak and get back in that race with the Yankees?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just like I said, we've got 135 games, 136 games left to play.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that needs to happen in that time. Number one, need to get the bats going. Mm-hmm. There's no excuse for the inconsistency. We've got a great lineup. We don't have a lot of speed. I don't know why Christian Vasquez thinks he's a speed demon, but we're not going to steal bases. We're going to have to hit for power. We're in a power-friendly ballpark. So just got to get the bats going, got to get something to rally. And the second big thing is it's kind of obvious, and if you saw the Angel series, you know what it is. We're giving up too many home runs.
Yeah.
We're third in the American League in home runs surrendered. Got to bring that number down, especially in an era where it's home run or strikeout. Got to strike out more batters. That hasn't been much of an issue, but we've been giving up too many long balls.
And who's your
more success?
And who's your next series here coming up for Boston?
Right now, let me think. As of tomorrow,
it's probably the Yankees.
Yeah, for like the 50th time.
Chicago.
Oh, the White Sox.
Yeah, so we're playing a scuffling White Sox team. It might be a time to get rallied, but I also thought that about the Orioles. You're like, hey, nothing like playing the Orioles when you're on a losing streak.
Yeah,
that's going to be one stinky field.
Yeah,
the Sox and the Sox, one stinky field.
Yeah,
Grill Master special right there. The Sox.
Crusty Sox.
Yeah, Crusty Sox. Hopefully you guys can get it turned around. I think the league's better when the Red Sox are formidable in that East, but it's just going to be tough.
More profitable too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Do you think the Red Sox make any big splashes at the deadline? Obviously, it's too early for you to start picking, trade candidates. But do you think the Red Sox will maybe improve that bullpen? It seems like that's going to be your biggest hole, at least at the current moment.
It would definitely be helpful. But I think that Chaim Bloom made a lot of moves towards having the current bullpen that we have now. So I think that he's probably going to try to stick with that for the most part. A lot of these guys have the talent that just haven't been executing. So I think that maybe the bullpen would be our biggest shot. We're trying out Jake Diekman as a closer. I actually like him, but he hasn't shown himself consistent enough to be a closer just yet. And same with Bobby Dahlbeck. That's our biggest hole as first base by far. I think we have an OPS of something in the 300s at the first base position. We had to DFA Travis Shaw.
Yikes.
For the same reason. And Franchi Cordero was called up, but from what I saw last season, he wasn't that great. He has all the makings of a 5-tool player, but Franchi Cordero probably isn't the solution, So
Agreed.
maybe make some moves at first base. It's the same as last year,
Have a Franchi Cordero signed baseball bat.
Yeah, we had to get Kyle Schwarber last season. I was really hoping we'd re-sign him. He was
Forgot
he's
about that.
exactly the guy the Red Sox needed that season. A power hitting first baseman, someone to rally the guys.
Yeah, and he is perfect. I was so surprised he moved on because that dude with that Pesky's pole down there, short right field perch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
He
built
was
for
made
him.
to hit it somewhere, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm surprised they didn't go after a guy like Cole Calhoun just for that same kind of reason. You know
I was
what I mean?
excited about the idea of Anthony Rizzo as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah. He's made for he's made for that stadium. He's also made for Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, speaking of Padres, I think a good trade candidate that would have worked there. I know he's having a resurgence this year. Hosmer, they wanted to trade. I think Hosmer would have been good for Boston.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Maybe. So let's say the opposite happens for your Red Sox. Okay. Let's say that we're at the trade deadline and things are going horrible. They're going toe to toe with the Orioles down there. I don't think it'll be that bad, but hypothetically, who are some pieces that you think the Red Sox might move at the trade deadline? Like, is there anybody you think they look to trade Jackie Bradley, considering he didn't accept the contract extension? Maybe he's looking to opt out. Is there anything like that?
I was thinking Jackie exactly. I mean, he's shown he has his moments with the bat, but more or less he's a 9-hitter. There's no way around it. But he's an elite defender, and people will pay good money for that. As the Brewers exhibited. So I feel like at the end of the season, there's a very good chance he's going to leave anyways, because he's at that point in his career where he's made himself known as a defense first player, and people will pay good money to see those flashy plays. So I think he's probably going to move on from the Red Sox because he hasn't been much of a contributor on offense, but he would be a good trade piece. You could probably get some prospects in exchange. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, if he can get back to the Jackie Bradley of the last 2 games against the Angels, he'd be a high commodity. I mean, I would even say, let's take, if nothing worked out with Adele and Bradley can prove himself to be a 280 hitter by the end of the year and a guy that can get on base and steal bases, shoot, it'd be good for a leadoff or a number 9 for us in the future, if Adele wasn't the guy. Because a hitter like that is your traditional type of leadoff dude with occasional pop, but a gap hitter turning a single into a double. Those are the players that I think the Angels are finally going after. And, like your Taylor Wades and players like that with that speed, utilizing speed. And I think he would fit in with any team in Major League Baseball.
Especially in a Red Sox offense that's lacking in speed.
Yes.
Yeah, he's probably our only really fast guy aside from Trevor Story, the new acquisition.
Yeah.
For the most part, we're usually in the bottom of the league in stolen bases. Last year, you probably wouldn't guess where our stolen base leader was. It was Christian Vasquez.
Wow.
If you have a catcher,
catcher?
stolen bases, that's saying something.
Crazy. Speaking of Christian Vasquez, he's a free agent after this year, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
And then, so tell me about Xander Bogaerts. He has an opportunity to opt out. I know you're a big X guy. So is there any chance the Red Sox move on from him, assuming it goes that bad? Take your heart out of it. Do you realistically see a situation where they might trade him for the right piece?
Taking my heart out of it, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of seeming like another Mookie situation all over again, where he's a guy who's deserving of a big payday. He's proven that he's an elite player. He deserves to be on the team for a long time, but the Red Sox are going to act like they're a small market team and undersell him. They said that in contract negotiations, they were off for about $100 million. So
yikes, that's a big gap there.
Yeah, it's looking like the same with Rafael Devers as well. So in the event that the Red Sox are absolutely tanking this year, maybe. I could definitely see it happening. As much as it breaks my heart.
Yeah, and I did check. Christian Vasquez is a free agent, so I mean maybe that's another piece you guys look to trade this trade deadline if the Red Sox are not in contention.
Yeah.
So
he's been playing. I haven't seen too much of him as a trade piece either, though, because he has been a pretty good catcher when it comes to throwing out runners, but he hasn't been doing that so much. His offense hasn't come around like people hoped it would. He's been letting a lot of pass balls go by. Pitchers have a better ERA with Kevin Plawecki behind the plate. It's very likely he might be on the move too if he doesn't deliver. I mean, he's been out with the franchise ever since he was first called up, So it's hard to see him go, but at the end of the day, we're putting too much faith in him as well.
True.
Myself included, I have him in fantasy.
You're like, come on, turn it around.
I know. I have him benched right now for Travis D'Arnaud.
Yeah, and Travis D'Arnaud's not that bad, but he's not exactly a world beater either. So
no, exactly. Yeah, he's a good hitter for a catcher.
Absolutely. And that puts a value on catching because again, a guy that usually back in the day, like a Stassi number type numbers would be an average hitter, but he's considered almost elite, top 5.
Yeah.
And so, because the catching and guys like Grindal, for Chicago who were elite is off to a real bad start. We saw that in the Chicago series. So if you have a decent hitting catcher that can get on base usually, and doesn't have to be a speed demon, obviously, but throw out guys and play good defense, but can give you an occasional 250 or better average. I mean, that's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
I called Grandal overrated and literally got condemned to death.
I
I was
wanted
getting massacred.
I wanted the Angels to get him 2 years ago, man, and he was one of the first free agents off the market. I remember he went really early. Like Chicago wrapped him up. They were like, "You're our dude," and last year he paid off, but this year not so much.
I wanted the Angels to get him the year that he went to Milwaukee for 1 year.
Oh yeah. He's
But
definitely
some things are for the best.
Absolutely.
I mean, I recall him being the reason the Angels used to win a lot of those Dodgers versus Angels games because he would errors galore whenever it mattered.
True. True.
And he cost the Dodgers a lot of games.
Yeah, he did. That's why they moved on. They were actually smart right there. They got Will Smith, the non-slapped Will Smith.
Yep.
But here we go, like into the next series, into the Nationals, man.
Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, that was one of the best moments on television, by the way.
When I heard that Will Smith slapped a guy, I'm like, wait, a benches clearing brawl happened?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you
He
know
seems like such a nice kid.
in spring training after that happened, they were actually booing the real Will Smith at the Dodger game when they announced Will Smith, just because of that? That was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the Angels got the Nationals here coming up for a 3-game set. The Nationals are not the Nationals of 2019. I think we all know that.
Sorry, Sonia.
Yeah. What are we looking out for in that series? Who's the matchups first of all, and then we'll dive into what they offer.
The Angels have not announced a single pitcher at the time of this recording, but the Nationals do have Joan Adon, who's a right-handed pitcher. He's 1-4 with a 7.33 ERA and 21 strikeouts. Josiah Gray will be going for them on Saturday. I think Todd Fox will be there. They are 3-2, 3.12 ERA, 31 strikeouts. And on Sunday, they have Eric Fedde, who's 2-2 with the 4.68 ERA and has 22 strikeouts. And the Angels, like I said, have yet to announce any pitchers. I believe tomorrow there's a chance it'll be Jonathan Diaz.
Actually, well, so far I'm on the Fantasy Pros website, and they're actually saying it's going to be Suarez, Lorenz, and Sandoval. But
isn't Suarez in the minor leagues?
Yeah, but that's just what there's. Oh no, I thought he was called up. I thought he was just called up, wasn't he, or no?
I thought he was just sent down. Well,
yeah,
miscommunication, but
yeah, no, I did see the same thing you said about Diaz. There was a rumor about him getting a start.
Yeah, because he was pulled today.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't see why not. They wouldn't put Lorenzen and Sandoval at least for 2 and 3, but we'll see. Obviously we'll see what happens tomorrow, and if the Angels can pull out that series, I think it would be very disappointing if we showed up like we did against Baltimore, taking them lightly, because Tampa Bay's no joke. They're right after them, and I'd like to get them back because they manhandled us bad last year. They made us look like a AAA franchise, so I want a little revenge for that, and I'm hoping the Angels are looking forward to that series. And they can't take this Nationals team lightly. They're speedy at times, and they can hit the ball, but that pitching's a mess, and we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, Juan Soto will find a way to kill us if he can.
Walk him.
Yeah. Well, the
but
problem
you just Soto shuffle you.
Yeah.
He just little.
But the problem is they got 2 other good hitters. They got Josh Bell and they got Nelson Cruz. So
Walk them all.
Yeah.
Walk
them all.
Walk the bases loaded.
Yeah. Welcome all. There you go. I mean, hey, they already intentionally walked Corey Seager with bases loaded when I was in Texas.
What's that?
That still makes no sense, man.
I'm still like Mike Trout's reaction in center field. Like, are we really doing that?
I was so confused. I remember he was just kind of like, he like looked. He's like, yeah.
He's like,
he was just kind of like, huh? They're all loaded.
Yeah, he was counting.
Yeah,
he's
like,
he was
oh,
looking at the
bases loaded?
bases. Yeah, he was tripping out. That was the funniest reaction ever, dude. Funniest reaction. But I mean,
Yeah, I think it was like one. It was like the gif for like the dude who's like blinking. He's like,
yeah. That's the thing.
yeah,
I
he's
mean,
all.
Madden makes you do that a lot. There's
Oh yeah,
you can't go a series without scratching your head at least once or twice. Like, why did he do that? What why does the lineup look like that? Why did the pitcher come out so early? Why did he put this guy in a situation? Because he did that, I think, against was it against Boston when he brought in a high leverage situation? He brought the rookie in Elvis right away. I think it was still a 2-run game. He brought Elvis in, and I'm like, this is a guy that's like severely inconsistent. This is still a winnable game, and you're gonna bring in our worst bullpen pitcher of all the guys who are available. You go with that guy. So
never
Just
say
show
no
faith,
to
Bob.
Joe.
Yeah.
yeah, so there you go, right there. Any final thoughts, I guess, or have you got anything else to bring up about this series or the future for the teams?
I guess the last question I have for Travis, it's still early. You weren't able to physically watch this Angels team, but from everything you've heard, from everything you can see at your disposal, do you think this Angels team has a chance to make the playoffs this year from an outsider's perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, if they keep playing the way they have been, I don't see why not.
That's good to hear because
Okay,
I mean,
well,
us
there you go.
Angels
You won't
fan-
get any hate mail.
No, not at all. 7-year drought, and for an outsider to say that feels really good. So
If they keep
I
playing the
feel
way they
warm
have been, I
inside.
mean, yeah, you got to keep in mind that it's a grind. A healthy Ohtani, a healthy Trout, a healthy Rendon, makings for success right there.
mhm.
And there you go. And if any of them get hurt right there, you know who to blame because he said it.
He's the jinx.
It would be a safe bet.
I will
though.
give you his address. I will give you his address. You guys can throw Dunkin' Donuts in his window.
I would love that.
Yeah, right. Okay, you know what, Travis? Let's make a deal. I know I'll be living in Texas at the time, but I will make it work out. Let's bet a Dunkin' Donut coffee of your choice or beverage of your choice if you're not a coffee guy, and one donut. Whoever has the better record, the Angels or the Red Sox, owes either you or I a Dunkin' Donut and a drink of their choice. You got a deal?
By when?
At the end of the year.
Oh, okay. If you're talking right now, then I'm not taking the bet. But yes, I'll take that.
Yeah. By the end of the year, that's the bet. I understand we have a little bit of an advantage, but like you said, you guys normally start off cold and heat
Yeah.
up. You have some hope. We normally will start off average and get injured. So,
Yes,
I'll take that bet. Yeah.
okay. All right, cool. Sounds good.
sounds good. Depends
Get
on what
myself
kind
a
of.
Dunkin' coffee, guys.
We'll make it a jelly donut too. A jelly donut.
Ooh, good. Good choice.
I don't like jelly, but I'll give you my jelly donut.
Wait.
You
do
can
like,
have it.
Do you like the cream filled or jelly?
Jelly's my favorite.
Neither.
There you go. All right.
I don't like juices inside of my donuts, you freaks.
The
Hey, I
juice
like.
is the best
Yeah,
part.
no.
I'm favorable towards the jelly myself. So. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a man. I don't like cream in my donuts. I like sprinkles.
Gotta love the cream.
I like sprinkles on top, like a man.
Oh
Like a
yeah.
man. You see that these are man pecs. See these muscles? These are man muscles.
Okay. We see.
Only get that from eating the donuts.
Those, yeah,
Nice.
those sprinkles. Those are manly sprinkles.
By the way, is there a number on the back of that American jersey? You got the Padres one, the All-Star one.
Yeah. It's a trout.
Nice. Like it a
So
lot.
you guys know that I'm not wearing a Padres jersey.
Yeah, I was making sure.
I feel
you
like
knew.
people think I'm like a Padres fan. Like, oh, he's like a closet Padres fan. I'm not. I'm not. My dad is. So,
Yep.
but I mean, I grew up watching. I grew up in San Diego. I grew up watching a lot of Padres games. So,
I've seen a lot of.
I
Angels
have
games
friends
because I
in
live
the
Orange
organization. Was that?
County. I've seen a lot of Angels games because I live in Orange County.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's a little part of you that you like the Angels. They're not your favorite team, obviously, but you'll cheer for them when they're not playing the Red Sox.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I just want to see.
Yeah,
good
it's going to be
baseball.
really awkward. Exactly. It's going to be really awkward when I'm living in Texas going to Rangers games because I don't want to cheer for the Rangers.
Mhm.
Yeah. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to get a jersey that says Texas sucks and then the number 69 on the back. That way I'm still wearing a Rangers jersey and people are like, oh, look, a Rangers fan. They turn around. They're like, oh, my God. What a burger!
That's the other thing you got to take advantage of, the Whataburger over there, which I wasn't too impressed by.
What a burger's better than In-N-Out.
Close. It's close.
People are gonna hate me. Go ahead, send the slander. Remember, I started a new Twitter account at the Lone Star Halo. Send it my way. In-N-Out is mid. Their French fries tastes like potato chips. If you drink their milkshake through a straw, you will pass out because it is so thick. We are talking like Lizzo. It is thick. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being thick.
That's
okay?
thick. That is really thick.
Quite thick.
Hey, thick is beautiful these days, guys.
I guess.
Thick is great.
Especially with milkshakes.
But what I'm saying here, what'd you say?
Especially with milkshakes.
Yeah, but you don't want to pass out from your milkshake. You don't want to sit there. The next thing you know, your face is all red. Your face matches the Angels jersey.
I will say In-N-Out fries are super overrated. Oh my God.
The worst fries in fast food.
Yeah.
Maybe like besides Arby's or stuff. That doesn't count. That's like dog food. But and real quick, before everyone's like, what are you talking about, dude? Whataburger sucks. Okay, the French fries are fine. They're whatever. Their French fries are average, but they have the spicy ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
They have big boy burgers, and they have the Texas toast option. If you guys ever go, get the spicy chicken sandwich, and instead of getting regular buns, get Texas toast buns.
Yep.
Spicy chicken sandwich, Texas toast buns with ranch.
Noted.
But
That's like a Sonic too. Same thing. Texas toast. Can't go wrong.
okay, well, when you guys both come to Texas to visit me, I'll take you guys to Whataburger.
You got it.
After we go boo the Rangers to a loss.
There you go. That's the
I would
main
love
part.
to see their stadium.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a Lowe's.
Yeah, it does look like a Lowe's.
The
Like a
department
Lowe's.
store. Yeah, it looks like Lowe's, and Chase Field had a baby. A very boring, bland baby.
Wow. Okay. Looking forward
With
to
bad
it.
food. With bad food.
All right. So that is our take on food. We talked a little baseball today as well.
We don't
so-
talk about that much anymore.
Yeah, we're kind of going off the rails, right? Like another show that we know.
Yeah. The Roger Lott show.
Yeah, for sure. That wasn't the one I was thinking about, but there was another one that,
Roger Lott show.
talks very little baseball.
Roger Lott show. All right, Todd. Do you want to hit us out with some Roger Lodge?
Yeah, let me get to our preview for the Nationals here at Angel Stadium of Anaheim, the house that the Cowboy built at the Artie Moreno drunken guy. I mean, straight businessman made so much better, aka the Anaheim Stadium, and writing down Catella to the game on this next game on Friday through Sunday. The Angels will win 57-0 the first game, 123-0 the second, and 1-0 on Sunday to get on the getaway game. Actually, we're still at home. But yeah, we're going to sweep everybody the rest of the season. And John Stamos will put his good luck charm kiss on me before each and every Angels home game.
152-0, baby.
There you go.
Good night, guys.
See ya.